Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on the life divine with our beloved Ranga. And we are still in the chapter Brahman Purusha Ishvara, page 362, with the line beginning, "The conscious being, Purusha, is the self as originator," etc.
So we have read the para.
Yes, we've
I'll
read
go
the-
sentence by sentence.
Right. And interesting, I've noticed in the previous para, almost the same words are there. With the self-sustaining it, witness and support, an originator and enjoyer of its activities. We have here originator, witness, support, and Lord and enjoyer.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's right. The conscious being, Purusha, is the self as originator, witness, support, and lord and enjoyer of the forms and works of nature. So, we must not think that this is simultaneously the self is not all these things. As the originator, witness, support, and lord and enjoyer of all forms, there is a sequence. So we'll discuss that sequence. It's not that when you have the experience of the self, you find yourself to be the originator, witness, support, lord, and enjoyer. No, there is a gradation. So you can experience yourself only as the impersonal self. At that time, you are not the conscious Purusha. You are the impersonal. So, the chapter is Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara, Maya, Prakriti, Shakti. So, just to again remind you that the three levels, when you are in the Brahman consciousness, you are not imprisoned in your body, mind, life. You means your consciousness, the soul or the psychic being. You come out of the body, mind, life, and you are in a consciousness which can be described as the Brahmic consciousness or the self. And what is the self? It is immutable, infinite, eternal, totally featureless. This is the description of the self. But it can be experienced in three basic ways. One, the self, you are a witness. You are witnessing whatever is happening without judgment because you are immutable. You are in a consciousness which nothing is affecting you and you are also not initiating any action. You are absolutely silent. The word used is usually silent. So you're just watching. You see everything, but you are not influenced by anything, nor are you initiating any action. Okay? In other words, you are totally separate from your body, mind, life, and you are also impersonal. You are in a consciousness which is infinite, eternal, stable. You realize that you always have been existing and that you are not mortal, you are immortal. This is the first experience of the self. The second is you feel yourself to be personal. You feel yourself as a person, not necessarily the only the impersonal. You feel that you are a person, they refer to that as the Purusha. And when you are the Purusha, you can feel yourself to be the originator. In other words, you have a connection with your body, mind, life, or you can be the witness. You can also be the witness and also the originator of the lower being, body, mind, life. It is because of your silent condition that the dynamism is activated.
So this sentence is about
The
us,
second stage,
about
yeah.
man.
Yes. Man,
Not the Purusha or the conscious being.
no, not
but
man. Man, what do you understand by man? Man is a compendium of body, mind, life.
No, a man who has risen
Yeah, that's
to
right.
the higher
So,
states.
better to refer to it as the soul or the consciousness.
Okay.
Because it is separate from body, mind, life. You are not in your body, mind, life anymore. You are up there and you are watching. But in the beginning, when you feel yourself to be infinite, eternal, featureless, it is impersonal. You feel yourself to be everywhere. But you can feel yourself to be an individual and you can feel yourself to be This consciousness, which is infinite eternal, is actually creating the movement in the physical world. If that silence is not there, there will be no world. It is that which is creating the world. Okay? It's the basic substance from which the world is being created. This is the self. You can call it nirvana, you can call it Brahmic consciousness, you can call it the witness self, it's all the same. Features are featurelessness. Features are featurelessness, the immutability, total silence, non action. And you're watching all the action going on below. But you are a person, and as you keep climbing in consciousness, even there in the second level of the spiritual planes, first the higher mind, then the element mind, then the intuitive mind, and the over mind, when you're going, you can feel yourself. In the beginning, you feel there's no connection between you and the body mind life. Then you feel, no, there is a connection. Actually, that was my body mind life, and there is a connection, a very subtle connection. You feel that you are the supporter. Okay? You are the support of the body mind life. That's what you feel. Or you feel yourself as the originator. At a later stage, you see that you can enjoy the forms in the physical world. In the beginning, as I said, nothing is influencing you and you are not initiating any action. But you can, at a later stage, you can enjoy everything in the physical world. In our condition, normal ignorance, we enjoy but we also suffer. But when you are there, you are only enjoying. No suffering. There is no suffering at all. And you enjoy everything which you are not enjoying earlier, because you are absolutely in a condition of equality. You are equal to everything. Neither more nor less, not unpleasant or pleasant. Everything is equal to you. Then that equality can become positive. That means to say you start enjoying everything. Those things which you did not enjoy earlier, now you enjoy them. When you are in the body mind life, there are some things you like, some things you don't like. But when you are out of your body mind life, in the beginning, nothing affects you, only peace. But later on, you start enjoying, slightly higher level. You start enjoying, but doesn't affect you. Without attachment and ego and desire, you are enjoying everything. Okay, that's the enjoyer. The word used in the Gita is the bhokta. So first you are the supporter, you are the bharta, then you are the bhokta, then you also understand things. So you become the knower, jnata. Okay, you become the knower. So these are all the gradations, and all of them can be experienced separately. If you are very a special developed soul, you may enjoy two or three of them together, and at the highest level, all together. Highest level is the Lord, and the Lord is the Ishvara. So these are the three levels: Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara. As the aspect of self is in its essential character transcendental, even when involved and identified with its universal and individual becomings, so the Purusha aspect is characteristically universal, individual, and intimately connected with nature, even when separated from her. So, even when separated, you feel there is a connection. You see the universe. So, in the Brahman, it is the impersonal aspect. In the second one, what he is talking about here, okay, it is the as the aspect of self in its essential character is transcendental. Okay, this is number one, first level. Second, even when involved and identified with its universal and individual becomings, it is identified. When it is transcendental, you can feel yourself to be part of the universe and also as though you are in the individual. So the Purusha aspect is characteristically universal individual. In other words, not transcendental. So the second level, when you are the Purusha aspect, you are the universal individual. You are in the universe and also you are in the individual. And intimately connected with nature. Note that, because at the transcendental level, you are not connected with the universe. Even if you see that you are there, but the connection is not there. In other words, you can be totally independent of the universe. The universe is not conditioning you.
but intimately connected with nature, even when separated from her.
That's right. That's the funny part. That
Yeah.
sounds very contradictory.
Yes.
So what he means is that you see the universe and you see that everything is there. You are separate. You see yourself as separate. Okay? Look, it's like this. A parent and his child. They're separate.
No.
They're separate. They have two bodies, two minds, two
True.
hearts.
But they're linked.
They're linked.
Yeah.
That's what it's meaning.
Got it.
So the link is separate but yet linked. Whereas in the transcendental, no link. You are outside the universe. You are not part of the universe. But the other experience is possible. That you are in the transcendental and yet you can experience this. That also is possible. It depends on the individual soul. Intimately connected with nature, even when separated from her. For this conscious spirit, while retaining its impersonality and eternity, its universality, puts on at the same time a more personal aspect. There you are. So in the beginning, it is more impersonal. At the Purusha level, it is more personal aspect. You are conscious. It's a conscious. When he uses the words conscious being, he means the personal aspect. He won't use the word conscious being for the transcendental and universal. Okay, so conscious being is the Purusha, and the Purusha is you know yourself as an individual, but this individual is not limited to body, mind, life. It's there everywhere. What you call the true individual. Again, to make a distinction between when you are here and when you are there, which is the true individual, go back to the image of the grain of salt. It's very useful. The grain of salt has got features. It's got weight, size, shape, color, everything, form. It is conditioned. That's a personal aspect with the ego. But when you put that into a glass of water and it disappears, the shape, size, color, form has disappeared. They are not conditioned anymore. But the saltiness is there everywhere. So I keep repeating this because it is so graphic. So the saltiness is the true individual. Okay? And what is the saltiness? It's the nature of the soul. Because each soul, essentially divine, but still there's a difference. Just as all mangoes on a tree are essentially the same. They will taste all the same. The mango taste is fixed. No one can, you can easily make a difference between a mango and an apple. You won't make it, but you will not be able to distinguish between one mango and another mango. The taste, you will not be able to say, this is from this one, this is from that one. Essentially the same. Okay? So, although all souls are essentially the same, yet there is a difference. Your soul is destined to be generous. Another soul is destined to have knowledge. Another soul is destined to have power. And this is infinite. Each soul is unique and infinite. So that's the personal aspect. Okay? So that's what he's saying. For this conscious spirit, while retaining its impersonality and eternity, its universality, puts on at the same time a more personal aspect. There's a footnote 7. Let's read the footnote. The Sankhya philosophy stresses this personal aspect, makes the Purusha many, plural, and assigns universality to nature. In this view, each soul is an independent existence, although all souls experience a common universal nature. He is going back to the Sankhya philosophy. So, the Sankhya philosophy, the experience is that of the conscious soul. Not so much the nirvana experience or not so much the other. Because they go up to that level and they say that the souls are infinite and nature is only one. Whereas the Advaita philosophy says souls seem to be separate. They seem to be separate, but essentially they are the same. They are one. That's a slight difference of interpretation. Okay, that's what he's saying. It is the impersonal personal being in nature from whom it is not altogether detached. In the Purusha experience, when you are in the Purusha experience, you see the physical world as mechanical energy, but there is a connection, some sort of connection is there, separate, but still a connection is there. Okay, in the transcendental, no connection, you are outside the universe. So, in the conscious being, there is a connection. Nature acts for the Purusha and by its sanction for its will and pleasure. You see, when you are in that, the witness self, you are not affected by anything. When you are in the Purusha consciousness, you see that there is a connection and you can also feel yourself to be the supporter and the enjoyer. There is a connection. Okay, so that's what he's saying. And you experience that time that the physical world, the Purusha, is actually creating forms and enjoyments for the benefit of the Purusha. You are the enjoyer. So, Prakriti is creating things and giving it to you for enjoyment. What is it? What is it producing? It's producing beautiful flowers. You can certainly enjoy them. It's producing beautiful fruits. You can certainly enjoy them. It is producing the purest of water if you are thirsty. So, it's producing all these things for the enjoyment of the Purusha. This is the experience of the conscious. Brahman Purusha. So Purusha experience, this is what is being described. Okay? By its sanction, for its will and pleasure. In other words, the Purusha is allowing the Prakriti to do whatever it is doing. I am allowing you passively, you do what you want. Okay? In other words, at an individual level, when you are experiencing things and doing things wrong and right and good and bad, the soul is passively accepting. Why is it accepting? Because experience. You have to gather experience in this life. So, experience it and see what it's all about. Okay? So, this is, it allows. But at another level, when you become the knower and the supporter and you realize that I was allowing, now you realize that you need not allow those things which you don't like. Okay? It's not that you don't like, but you feel an hindrance and some sort of obstacle. So you want to get rid of that you want to get rid of that defect. Even in the body-mind life, you withhold the permission. The soul withholds the permission, and slowly that defect now gets exhausted by the accumulated energy which is there. It spends and no more new energy is coming. The habit dies. Like the anger or greed. It takes time. It's a slow movement. Clear? So, this is what is describing the Purusha consciousness. Imparts its consciousness to the energy we call nature, receives in that consciousness her workings as in a mirror. It is seeing these things and it is receiving also. Okay? And it's like a mirror, the reflection in the mirror. Accepts the forms which she, the executive cosmic force, creates and imposes on it, gives or withdraws its sanction from her movements. There you are. It gives sanction to everything. Passively, it is agreeing to everything. Or it has the power also to withdraw the sanction. Srimda is recommending withdrawing the sanction and make your body mind life also perfect. Whereas the others, they are not interested. They say the body mind life is going to dissolve. Why should I worry about it? That's the ascetic path and the Buddhistic path. They take there and I'm free now. The body mind life is like old clothes. What do I do with them? I throw them away. I don't want clothes. I want only the real stuff. Okay? That's what he's saying. Which gives or withdraws his sanction from our movements. The experience of Purusha Prakriti, the spirit or conscious being, in relations to nature is of immense pragmatic importance. For on these relations, the whole play of the consciousness depends in the embodied being. What is the relation between you and your soul? Okay, in the embodied being. If the Purusha in us is passive and allows nature to act, accepting all she imposes on him, giving a constant automatic sanction, then the soul in mind, life, body, the mental, vital, physical being in us becomes subject to our nature, ruled by its formation, driven by its activities. That is the normal state of our ignorance. So, when we are in our normal condition, my condition, our condition, we are identified with our body, mind, life, and the soul is not experienced directly. The soul is identifying itself with body, mind, life. At that time, even when I am doing something wrong, I may not perceive it as wrong. The soul is allowing it to happen. Why does it allow it to happen? As I said, for experience. Okay, it may sound funny that the soul, the divine soul, is allowing you to do wrong things, but when you make an error, it's then when you learn. If you don't make an error, you won't learn. So it is passively agreeing to it. But a time comes when that passive permission can become an active permission or an active withdrawal. That's what he's saying. When does that active non-sanction come? When we, in our normal condition, if I am quite objective about myself, I can see that I have a bad habit of anger and I don't like it. So I try to do something. I am trying to do, but it's not very effective. But when I am separated from it, it becomes much easier. Because the soul is identified with body, mind, life. When it is not identified with body, mind, life, it can give commands. But if I am attached to somebody, then I am not being objective. You get the point, yeah? So that's why the real control starts coming when you are separated from your body, mind, life. So long as you are identified with your body, mind, life, the control is mental, it's not real.
Is it truly a tapasya?
Truly?
Is it truly a tapasya?
Tapasya is the effort to separate yourself from it. But so long as you are identified with your body, mind, life, tapasya will help to separate yourself. But tapasya will not be able to control if you are identified with your body, mind, life. And even in the first stage, when you separate yourself, you are not interested in. You are witness. You are the impassive witness. That's the first stage. Secondly, you have the power to change things slowly. The full power comes only at the third level.
So, at the first level higher, the higher mind,
Yes.
you're a witness? Only,
Yes.
only,
Yes.
only a witness?
Yes. Only a witness. But as I said, it depends on the individual. These are experiences which are possible. You can be only witness, but you can also feel yourself to be connected, and you can feel yourself to be the enjoyer. But usually this comes in sequences. I refer you to the Sadguru, okay? He didn't feel himself to be the witness. He had the enjoyment, and he doesn't reject the physical world at all, even after his first initial experience of the cosmic consciousness. It depends on the individual. So, if the Purusha in us is passive and allows nature to act, accepting all she imposes on us, giving a constant automatic sanction, okay, automatic sanction, passive sanction, then the soul in mind, life, body, the mental, vital, physical being in us becomes subject to our nature. We are prisoners of our nature at our level 1. Okay, your soul is agreeing to whatever you are doing. That's what he's saying. Then, giving a constant automatic sanction, the soul is subject to our nature, ruled by its formations, driven by its activities. That is the normal state of our ignorance. It is anger that controls us. It is our greed that controls us. It is our sleep that controls us. It is my hunger that is controlling me. That's our normal condition. But when you separate, you are not identified with body, mind, life. You feel yourself to be separate. Hunger, anger, desire, sleep, all will continue, but it's in the body, not in you anymore. It's there going on. You're just watching and saying, oh, so this is the nature of my body, mind, life. But then when you realize that there's a connection, you can stop that greed and stop that anger. That's a Purusha Prakriti experience. But the power, you feel yourself to be separate, even if power is there, it is very little. You feel yourself to be separate, you can stop your sanction and slowly the defect will go away. But from the third level, the power is full. You can have immediately an effect on the body, mind, life. Okay, so I go to the next sentence. If the Purusha in us becomes aware of itself as a witness and stands back from nature. What is meant by standing back from nature? You are not identified with your body, mind, life anymore. Nature is the body, mind, life. So you are out. It stands back. Okay. Either it is back or above. Okay. Then that is the first step to the soul's freedom. The soul's freedom is not prisoner in the body, mind, life anymore. It is outside. Okay. For it becomes detached. And it is possible then to know nature and her processes and in all independence, since we are no longer involved in her works, to accept or not to accept, to make the sanction no longer automatic, but free and effective. There you are. So this is the Purusha experience. It's quite simple if you want to put it in simple words. When you are identified with your body, mind, life, your body, mind, life is conditioning the soul. You are a prisoner.
Conditioning the soul?
Yes, your anger is being imposed on you. Feel that I am angry. The I is the ego and the soul becoming one. You are not conscious of your soul at our level. So that's what I mean by conditioning. But when it is out, it cannot condition. It cannot have any effect on the soul. It's separated. That's what now is. That sentence now we are reading is that one. So if the Purusha in us becomes aware, Purusha, soul, individual soul, in us becomes aware of itself. We are not aware of itself. When the psychic being comes to a certain extent, we are. But the real experience is when you go above to the self. Okay. If the Purusha in us becomes aware of itself as the witness and stands back from nature, that is the first step to the soul's freedom, because you are out of the prison house. Okay. And for it becomes detached. No more identified with body, mind, life, detached. You have gone out. As I told you, you feel sometimes you're outside the body, mind, life. Okay, then it is possible then to know nature. Now, note that. To know nature. He has not used the word knower in that list that he gave. Support, witness, enjoyer, Lord. Okay, he has not given, but that also is there. Earlier he will say knower. You become the knower. Jnata. You become the knower. So now he is saying that. Okay, he is saying it is possible then to know nature and her processes and in all independence, since we are no longer involved in her works. The body, mind, life is going on working, but you are not doing anything. You are the non-doer. You are watching. Okay, it's one of the biggest experiences. The beginning of yogic life is then when you separate yourself and you realize that I am not doing anything. And if you are not doing anything, is there an ego? No ego. That's why you are not doing anything. The ego is the one that thinks I am doing. So the ego goes away and you become the non-doer. That is the first step to soul's freedom, for it becomes detached. It is possible then to know nature and her processes and in all independence, since we are no longer involved in our works, to accept or not to accept, to make the sanction no longer automatic and passive, but free and effective. Now it can also be effective. In other words, If you stop giving sanction to your anger or your greed, it will slowly disappear. Not immediately.
So, if I want to ask about being an instrument for the divine's
Oh,
work,
that comes only at the level of the witness self or the Purusha. That depends again on the soul. You can feel yourself to be only released. You are not interested in being an instrument of the divine. To be an instrument of the divine, you have to come down to the physical world.
yes,
But you are not
exactly.
interested. The ascetic is not interested. The Buddhist is
Ah,
not interested. So you don't become an instrument.
but we are interested because this is
Yes,
the
that's our path.
integral yoga.
Yeah, we are. Actually, this is very interesting what you are saying about the instrument. We really are all instruments unconsciously.
Exactly.
But when we become a conscious instrument of the divine, ego goes away and you know that you are being manipulated by the divine force. It is coming into you and you are obeying it. So at that time, true freedom is to be a slave of the divine. That's the funny part. So long as you think you are free, you are really a slave to nature. That's our condition. I am free, I can do whatever I want. Wrong. You are only doing what nature is telling you to do. But when you become separate, okay, at that time, you are separated from body, mind, life, and now you have many choices. You can disappear into the infinite, or you can continue to be in the subtle worlds, okay, for a long time because it's so enjoyable there. It's so peaceful, so calm, no suffering. You can linger there in the subtle worlds, or you can disappear into the infinite. I came from the divine, I go back into the divine, formless, infinite. That also is possible. Or you can continue to keep your true individuality and have a relation with the divine. All these things are possible. Or in Sriyamdo's yoga, you are interested in coming down again, but this time when you have come down, you are not in ignorance. You are not attached to your body, mind, life. You are free and you can become an instrument of the divine. Conscious instrument.
Okay, that's the key there.
Yeah.
Conscious
Yes,
instrument.
because we are instruments in what way? The divine is creating the cosmos, and the cosmos is creating our body, mind, life, and the cosmos is creating our body, mind, life, and dictating terms to it. Our body is formed by matter. Matter is universal. Okay, then our vital is a small formation of the universal vital plane. So the universe is forming us and dictating terms to us, like the wave and the sea. It is the sea that determines the wave. The wave can never know the sea or influence the sea. That's what is being said. But when you become separate, then you can know the sea. When you are separated, then you can see the nature and understand nature. When you are identified, you don't. When you are separated, you are objective.
So when people say they are an instrument of the divine,
If you are a real instrument, I don't think you'll say it.
okay, very good, very good, very good. Yes, yes.
They just do what has to be done.
But there should be that aspiration.
Yeah, but unless you are Sri Aurobindo, he says that I know that I am an instrument. Okay, at the highest level, that's the truth. So you can speak it without being affected, without ego. So, we go to the next sentence. So, to accept or not to accept, to make the sanction no longer automatic but free and effective. We can choose what she will do. She is the Prakriti, your nature. What she will do or not do in us. Or we can stand back altogether from our works and withdraw into the self's spiritual silence. That's what the Buddhist does. That's what the ascetic does. Or we can reject her present formations and rise to a spiritual level of existence, and from there recreate our existence. So many possibilities are there. So when you do that, okay, one is you can withdraw into the spirit's spiritual silence. You can stand back altogether from her works, not interested at all in body, mind, life, and nature, and withdraw into the self spiritual silence. Come back, go back into the infinity from where you came. Okay? But that's one way. That's what the Buddhist does, or the Mayavadin, the ascetic. Or another possibility, we can reject her present formations, the formation of our nature. What is the formation of nature? Anger, good and bad, both. Your characteristics can be good, they can be also what we consider bad. There is no bad actually, but it's a way of expressing anger, excitement, okay, but greed, but also generosity, wide-mindedness. These are all the features. So all these formations you can reject. Go up to the highest level, and from there reconstruct your body, mind, life. That's what he's saying. He's saying that, okay? And or we can stand back altogether from works and withdraw into the spirit's self-spiritual silence, or we can reject our present formations, not accept the limitations, and rise to a spiritual level of existence, and from there recreate our existence, rebuild, remodel our nature. You are interested, that is Srendo's path. When you are in there, you want the divine to enter into you and remove your defects. So it has to be restructured and rebuilt, remodeled. Your entire body, mind, life will be remodeled. It's a work that involves a little bit of destruction. It's like renovating a house. Okay, dilapidated wall is there, you destroy it and rebuild it. So the destruction is a little painful psychologically. And when you build new things, you will start saying, "Arey, there are things which I didn't understand before, now I am understanding." So rebuilding of nature. Give a capacity which is not there earlier. Mother has a very interesting example of a child whose psychic came forward and she started writing marvelously. Okay? Because the psychic was in front, remodeled. The whole being is remodeled, the nature. But when the psychic withdrew, she again became the ordinary self. Mother is an interesting example of that in one of her talks. So that's what is being said. That you can rise to another level and completely rebuild your house. The house is a body, mind, life.
If the psychic comes out, it doesn't have the strength at times and has to go back, withdraw.
That's because of our imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are sufficiently already developed, then the psychic can come over and remain there. Like mother's experience. When she came to know that there is a divine within you, there was an Indian man who told her that, read the Gita and take the Krishna as this divine in you. So she said, as soon as I knew that there is a divine in me, in 6 months I realized my psychic being. Now it's certainly not going to go back for him. For her it is there permanently.
Yes.
It depends on the development of the individual. But usually it comes, tells you this is possible, this beautiful condition, and goes back. Because why it goes back? Because the temple is not yet clean enough for her to stay for too long. That's why. It will wait for you to purify the temple, clean the temple, and then it will come forward again and install himself there. That's what he's saying. Okay, so. Or we can reject our present formations, rise to a spiritual level of existence, and from there recreate our existence. Here he is using only one, recreate. In the synthesis, he says, break walls, build new capacities, okay, enlarge the being, renovate the whole house. That's what happens. And that sometimes is painful. Everybody has had that experience. Those who are. Krishnamurti had an experience, he used to call it the process. He used the word a process is going on. Okay. In Sri Aurobindo case, he mentioned only one thing, which was rebuilding. He says there's a drilling in my mind. His mind is being drilled to remove the old things and bring in the new. You feel your head is being a heavy headache. Okay. In mother's case, she fell ill seriously in one case. Okay. Then Sadhguru, his case, he almost died. It was being rebuilt. So the rebuilding process is sometimes dangerous. It is sometimes pictured as a mountain, and part of that mountain is being destroyed to create an image. We have many images now in Afghanistan also there was a image of Buddha which the Taliban destroyed, unfortunately. In India we have the Ajanta and the Ellora caves all dug out from the rocks. So that process of digging out the rock and breaking out the images and establishing a temple there, that's painful. It's not always very easy. That's what he's saying. The Purusha can cease to be the subject, okay, Anisha, and become Lord of nature, Ishvara. So the three levels, very clear now. Level 1, impersonal. There is nobody there. You feel yourself to be impersonal and wide. You can reject the world, that's one possibility, or you can be in the cosmic consciousness, you won't reject the world. Slightly higher up, you are a person. You are a person who is impersonal also, but nature is separate from you. You have no control over nature fully, but you can start the process of changing your body, mind, life. Third level, you are the master. You are full control of everything. You are personal, impersonal, and you see the whole structure, transcendental, cosmic, and individual. That is why Sri Aurobindo is trying so much to get to the supermind and make it come down. That's the third level. There you have full power. That's very rare.
Yeah.
So, clear the three levels? So that's the whole chapter. Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara. And when you are in the Brahman consciousness, the world can either be illusion, or if you are lucky, you will feel yourself to be one with it's not illusion anymore. Okay? Cosmic consciousness is not an illusion. Second level, Purusha. When you are in the Purusha consciousness, the world is not illusion, but mechanical energy. Mechanical unconscious energy. Purusha Prakriti. You go to another level, you become the master, and at that time, the world is neither an illusion nor is it mechanical energy, unconscious energy, it is fully conscious. It is your own power which is doing things. These are the three levels. Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara, Maya, Prakriti, Shakti. Okay? So that's what the whole chapter is all about. Depending on the individual. In the philosophy of the Sankhyas, we find developed most thoroughly the metaphysical idea of Purusha Prakriti. These two are eternally separate entities, but in relation to each other. Prakriti is nature power, an executive power. It is energy apart from consciousness. For consciousness belongs to the Purusha. Prakriti without Purusha is inert, mechanical, inconscient. Prakriti develops as its formal self and basis of action, primal matter, and in it manifests self and sense and mind and intelligence. But intelligence too, since it is part of nature and its product in primal matter, is also inert, mechanical, inconscient. A conception which sheds a certain light on the order and perfectly related workings of the inconscient in the material universe. It is the light of the soul, the spirit, that is imparted to the mechanical workings of sense mind and intelligence. They become conscious by its consciousness, even as they become active only by the assent of the spirit. The Purusha becomes free by drawing back from Prakriti. It becomes master of her by refusing to be involved in matter. Nature acts by three principles: modes, qualities of its stuff, and its action, which in us become the fundamental modes of our psychological and physical substance and its workings. The principle of inertia, the principle of kinesis, and the principle of balance, right and harmony. When these are in unequal motion, her action takes place. When they fall into equilibrium, she passes into quiescence. Purusha, conscious being, is plural, not one and single, while nature is one. It would seem to follow that whatever principle of oneness we find in existence belongs to nature. But each soul is independent and unique, soul to itself and separate, whether in its enjoyment of nature or its liberation from nature. All these positions of the Sankhya we find to be perfectly valid in experience when we come into direct inner contact with the realities of individual soul and universal nature. But they are pragmatic truths, and we are not bound to accept them as a whole or the fundamental truth either of self or of nature. Prakriti presents itself as an inconscient energy in the material world. But as the scale of consciousness rises, she reveals herself more and more as a conscious force, and we perceive that even her inconscience concealed a secret consciousness. So too, conscious being is many in its individual souls, but in itself we can experience it as one in all and one in all its essential existence. Moreover, the experience of soul and nature as dual is true, but the experience of their unity has also its validity. If nature or energy is able to impose its forms and workings on being, it can only be because it is nature or energy of being, and so the being can accept them as its own. If the being can become lord of nature, it must be because it is its own nature, which it had passively watched doing its work, but can control and master. Even in its passivity, its consent is necessary to the action of Prakriti, and this relation shows sufficiently that the two are not alien to each other. The duality is a position taken up, a dual status accepted for the operations of the self manifestation of the being. But there is no eternal and fundamental separateness and dualism of being and its consciousness force, of the soul and nature. He has elaborated the Sankhya philosophy, so we'll have a look at that. And then he's saying that we don't need to accept it in the higher levels of consciousness. It is true at the lower levels of consciousness. Right up to the second level, it is a fact. But when you rise to the third level, it's not true anymore. So this is what we'll have to do in detail because he is expounding the Sankhya philosophy. We'll do that next time.
Thank you, Ranga. Namaste, all. Namaste.